Hi, this is Chris Bayaki with Resolute Philanthropy, and I'm making a video today because I'm trying to think of a new way to talk about fundraising. Now, specifically, I'm trying to find a new way to talk about the art or the moment of asking for the gift. Now, when I first started in fundraising, the metaphor that I was taught, and really the metaphor I used for a long time, was that of a kiss. In other words, that the relationship with the donor was, something you had to build with time, and just like you can't just burst into a room and start kissing strangers, you can't just burst into a room and start asking people for money. There needs to be some trust developed. Now, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that analogy. I think it's a little, I don't know, it's a little odd for me these days, I feel. So I've been trying to think of a new analogy. Now, for a while, I was using the airport ride analogy. Like, if I just met you, I probably wouldn't ask you for a ride to the airport. That's something that you would ask of someone who is a friend, someone you have a relationship with. But then I realized that's kind of equating the ride to the airport with the ask, meaning that asking for money is a pain in the butt, like a ride to the airport is, or it's an imposition. You're imposing on somebody, and I don't want that either. That doesn't feel good. So I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for another way to explain or to illustrate that the ask happens when the relationship is ready for it. And it's almost impossible to get there because it varies based on the relationship, it varies based on the organization and the people involved in the relationship. So it's not a one size fits all tool. But the best I can come up with so far is the idea of inviting somebody to a party that you're throwing. So if I just met you and I said, "Hello, my name is Chris. Would you like to come to a house party that I'm throwing?" That's not a good feeling, right? Because you don't know me. Who is this weirdo? What sort of law and order setup is he trying to get me into? So there's an element there that I like, that the party is something joyful and exciting, and we want people to come join us, but there is an element of relationship building that has to happen before that makes any sense. So that's what I'm struggling with at the moment. And if you've got a different approach, or if you've got an analogy that you use when talking about this part of the fundraising cycle, I would love to hear it. So throw it in the comments and let me know what you think. The second thing I'm looking for is I'm looking for a new phrase to replace frontline fundraising. So let me explain. I used to describe my professional experience using that term, that for 20 plus years I was doing a lot of frontline fundraising, meaning I was talking to donors, building programs. I was really a fundraising generalist, so I was doing grants and events and major gifts and individual gifts and faith relations and corporate relations and all the pieces. But I would use frontline fundraising to describe the fact that I was interacting with donors and really involved in the process. But I'm trying to, and this is a conversation I had with a friend of mine at the Icon conference. I'm trying to eliminate or reduce the number of kind of war metaphors or combat metaphors that I'm using in my day-to-day language. And frontline fundraising seems to check that box. So I'm trying to find another way to explain that. And I'd love to hear how you all describe the work that you do, especially when you're talking to people who might not be completely engaged in or involved in the nonprofit space. How do you describe fundraising to people that might not know what fundraising is? So those are some of the things that are on my mind today. But in broader terms, I will always end with, I love talking about fundraising. And if you are ready to do more with your fundraising, if you're ready to raise more money and engage more donors and really turbocharge your mission, I want to talk with you. So drop me a note in the comments below and let's work together, because I don't think your mission can wait to raise more money and to help the community you're part of. So let's get started together. Anyway, keep up the good work. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.